be sharing some tips on how to create a realistic portrait. We're going to be focusing on proportion, shape, and value.
You will need a sheet of paper, a number 2 pencil, a pencil sharpener, an eraser, a sheet of paper for measuring, and an image to work off of that's going to be the size of your drawing. This will be important for proportions. Before we get started, here are a few tips on drawing portraits. Tip 1 is draw what you see, not what you know. So you want to look at every part of the face, including the shadows, as if they were just shapes. Sometimes we get too caught up in what we're drawing and not the actual shape it is in real life. This is important when we're aiming for realism because every person's facial features and shadows have their own unique shape. Tip number 2 is to use the eye as a measuring tool. For this particular demo, we will be using the measurement of the eye to help us maintain proportions. Be sure your image is the same size as your drawing in order to maintain a 1-to-1 proportion. From ear to ear on almost every face, there are 5 eye measurements. I measured the eye on a sheet of paper, and we can see 5 measurements across the face. Almost every face has 1 eye measurement in between each eye. This can help us make sure we're not drawing our eyes too close together or too far apart. We can also use the same eye measurement to help us draw the rest of the face. How many eye measurements are from the eye to the chin? How many from the eye to the forehead? From the eye to the tip of the nose? By using this system, we can easily check our proportions. Tip number 3 is about shading and comparing values. Value is the degree of lightness to darkness, which we can see on a gradient scale. If we look at an eye, for example, we can see varying degrees of light to dark. First, look at your image and determine which spots are the darkest, then which spots are the lightest. This will help determine values in between. Comparing these values to the darkest and lightest spots will help us have a greater variation in value, which will ultimately help us achieve a more realistic portrait. We will start out by drawing the outline of the face. As you can see, I am using the measurement of the eye to correctly proportion the head shape and facial features, sort of like mapping out where things are supposed to go before we draw them in. This step is very important, so don't rush it. The placement of facial features is what makes a portrait look like the specific person you're drawing, so make sure to double check all your measurements. Once I have everything mapped out, I could then go in and start shading. I first determine which spots are the darkest, then which spots are the lightest, or the highlights, and then I start to put in the in-between values. Be sure to share your creations on the Locust Street Art Facebook page, and I look forward to seeing what you guys made this Saturday at our Art Talk. See you guys soon.